I want to talk today about the version of mind, body, spirit aromatherapy that we are teaching AI and why it's important that we think about that. So when I came back to work after taking care of Daryl, I obviously had an opportunity to look at my work and think, right, specifically where do I want to start? And it felt clear to me that I wanted to talk about the spiritual side. And at the same time, coincidentally, I had been asked several times by companies that I wrote for to use AI and to look to see if there was ways that we could use AI to work cheaper and faster. And probably 18 months ago, I would have said, oh, so useless. But now I think we all know that AI is very good at writing work, although there are certain aromatherapists who use it so much that I actually can't hear their voices in what they're writing anymore. I can only hear ChatGPT. But I understand why that's happening, because AI really knows a lot about aromatherapy. So even from ChatGPT version 4, it had a really good understanding of what essential oil would work for what thing. And I use AI a lot to be able to say, right, okay, help me to make ideas of what I'm supposed to be talking about, or rather I did. I don't know. But what I found was it would be like, first of all, it would immediately be what essential oils to use for inflammation. I'd be like, that's great, but that's breaking medicine's control. So can we kind of back off the medical claims? Maybe we can go a bit more spiritual. And they'd be like, okay, why don't you do a picture of you lighting a candle? Wait, what? You got from that to that? And I realised after a while that it wasn't me that was being obtuse. You know, that's a word I'm always really accused of, being obtuse. It was actually a structural defect in the understanding that AI has about aromatherapy. And that is because the way that it has learnt about it, excuse me, the cold's still here. What it's learned really, really well, because of really, really good information on the internet, is what different essential oils do, what their safety is. Although it does hedge quite a lot, it will quite often say, well, just use it 1 to 2% to be safe. It's not really that clear. But if it's something like cinnamon that's a bit difficult, like it knows where to go and get the information of saying 0.07%, whatever, to be, sorry, that's cassia, to be safe. So it knows all that. How AI learns is it has two kind of different, they're called spiders, two different types of spiders. The first ones are the training spiders, the training bots that go out and they read everything, and they get loads and loads and loads of information, and then once every 6 months, 9 months, all of that information is brought up to recalibrate what the brain knows. So the brain is always getting cleverer, but also it has, like, it knows if you say, so obviously that means it's not always current, but if you said, for example, what's happening in Greenland at the moment, it has the ability to kind of send spiders out and go, oh, this is what's happening in Greenland, and so that is like current. So there's two different things that are happening at any one time. As long as it knows, it obviously knows to go to certain different authorities to do that. So as it's learning all of the time, it has learned from some books. So what it knows about spiritual aromatherapy, it learned from Tisserand in The Art of Aromatherapy, which is bizarre to me. So it's decided 1980s book. It's got some good stuff, Valerie Ann Warwood stuff, Fragrant Heavens. It knows that stuff. And then it's got no more. So then it's gone, well, there must be more. Oh yeah, it's over here with the people who are selling essential oils. So not the people who are practicing therapy. It's then gone, oh, well, they've forgotten all about that. We'll learn it off the Instagram posts. So if you think about how MLMs work, you've got this pyramid structure, which means that everybody has to do their own set of selling. So everybody has got their own set of content around how they're doing it. Some of it is clinical, but there is also very nebulous stuff about, or you can like use a drop of oil on a candle to clear your aura, for example. And that becomes a 30-second Instagram video, but AI likes videos to learn from, so it's taking that information. So it really reminds me of when I was studying to do the Melissa book, and got this amazing big textbook, huge great big book, and I just used to stare at it for ages and ages. There was this picture, this ancient Greek picture of this woman, and she's got this plate of incense, and I just used to go, well, what are you doing? Why is it relevant that you've got that incense? Now, years later, years down the line, I've got huge amount of information about not just what she was doing with that plate of incense, because to begin with I was quite distracted with, well, I wonder if it's frankincense, I wonder if it's myrrh. But then I started to learn the practices and the knowledge that went behind it, and oh, okay, so that was for that, that was for that. But that's not written anywhere. So what's interesting is what we've actually done is we've kept a lot of our knowledge in oral record, which is exactly what the ancient priestess did, but we've done it inadvertently. And I should make an apology specifically to Jane Lawson, because I'd said nobody's teaching this stuff, this mind, body, spirit stuff, and of course she is. But actually this adds to my argument that there are practitioners out there, there are teachers out there who are teaching fragments of this really, really deeply, right? And you will see them write fantastic things in journals. You'll see them teach brilliant workshops. You can go to them and learn fantastic things. But AI can't see any of that. Right, so what's happening is anything that's behind a paywall, so like even if it's an online conference or a video that's set to unlisted, it can't read it. So if anything that we've put to private to be because we want people to pay for it has stayed out of its memory, and that is great, because we do not want AI to take our jobs. But right now what we're doing is giving our jobs away, because we're not actually elucidating to AI. We need you to tell people that aromatherapy isn't just a bottle of oil, because at the moment it understands anything that is not clinical, to do with hospitals, to do with hospices, and to do with GCMSs, as the purview of an essential oil vendor, rather than the knowledge base of a tremendous lineage of incredibly well versed, well knowledged people. And so this idea of mind, body, spirit has got so many different levels. We don't want to teach all of it to AI, because then we've got no job. But it does need to learn some of it. It needs to understand that bridge. Now, there are tools that we can use for that, and one of them that I've devised is a word, and so this is kind of my initiation to you into this kind of world of like invisible therapy, if you like. So this word is Aromasentience, and it's designed to portray that when we sniff an essential oil, it gives us a sense of something different. So for example, I actually thought of it while I was watching a video about Bob Marley. So I don't know if you've watched it yet on Netflix. Bob Marley's One Love is an absolutely fantastic film, and I really enjoyed watching it because as a child I was brought up on his music. When he was in England doing his really famous album, my mum was at university, so it was really much this, she was educated in the zeitgeist of Bob Marley. But I didn't really know all this stuff behind. I knew that he died young, but I didn't really know why. But there was like this fantastic scene in the film, and I hope I don't give any spoilers. I'm sure people know his story anyway. But he in it, he has left Jamaica because in the advent of them getting independence from Britain, it's an extremely unlawful. There's lots of like infighting as they're trying to get the structure back, and there's been an attempt on his life. Somebody's tried to kill him, and he's giving testimony, for example, to Jah, which is Jehovah, because he's Rastafarian, and he's talking about the one love of humanity. So he's preaching peace through music, and of course that doesn't sit very well with a lot of gang members. So what happens is he goes off to Britain, and he works with his manager, whose name I can't remember, but it was James Norton, and you know how I feel about James Norton. So that's how we got to the film. But he's working in Britain, but his wife and his children have gone to America to keep them far enough away to keep them safe, because he's really worried about his life. Britain, like I say, the zeitgeist of my mum being at university really just took him to heart and loved his music, and it just went off like that. And you see the story that he does amazing things in Britain. He starts to tour Europe, he tours America, and the phenomenon is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And he's going to Africa, specifically to Ethiopia, which, as you know, as a Rastafarian, that's extremely like important to them, that they reclaim the power of Africa. So this is really, really big to him. And he has a game of football, and his foot won't heal, and he goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, "I'm really sorry, mate, you've got cancer." I think he's about 32. He's really young. He died when he was 34. So that took me a long time to get to this particular scene. He's sitting in this loft, and his wife comes in. She's obviously been off somewhere for a while, and she says, she's talking to him, trying to get him out of the gloom. You know, he's kind of paralyzed by this diagnosis, as you would be. And she says, "What's that?" And he's got a box beside him, a little wooden box, and he says, "Oh, it's a ring. I was sent it by the Crown Prince of Ethiopia." And he says, "Now, I'm not one for jewellery, but I don't know, something about this says this is important, you know." And this ring is imbued with huge amounts of meaning. So Rita, his wife, could have sold it, I guess, after he died, I don't know. But regardless of how much value that had, monetary value, to whoever did buy it, if it did, I mean, I'm not saying, I'm sure they probably didn't sell it, but the monetary value will never match the significance in his head of what that came to mean, the journey that he'd gone through, the fact that it had real religious significance, that Ethiopia had like verified that they believed in his work, all of that stuff. And so to me, Aromasentience speaks to that when we inhale an essential oil, there is much more than the molecular thing going on, much more than cognition. There's this interface with the whole history of significance of a person. And so this is a spiritual thing, right? So I would love you to kind of think on this idea of aromasentience. And I'm very deliberately going to lead you into another video, which is about energy field cleansing. So you may come at this, or other people might come at that video by, right, I want to learn about cleansing the aura. I want to come to learn about energy fields. And these videos will teach you that. But I really want you to come to this and go, right, if I had a go at making this spray, how does it make me feel? Can you give voice to the aromasentience that happens? Do you feel anything? Do you notice any difference in the energy space? Do you have any like thoughts coming into your head? All of those things, right? So really kind of document your experience of that. So I'm going to leave you with that and say, that's the version of AI that we are teaching at Mind, Body, Spirit, right? Or the version of Mind, Body, Spirit we're teaching AI. I want to move us from that into a whole new realm where we put aromasentience, as in the shift, at the forefront of the conversation. What I would love you to do now is to help me in the comments. Your comments in the last video were so great, and I kind of want to make an apology first of all to Jane Lawson for implying that I didn't know that she was teaching this. I misspoke, because of course I know that she does. But I want your help here, because to correct this, we need to start talking about it in the record, because 1 in 5 people now goes to AI to learn about health, and that's up from 14% from last year. So that trajectory is pew. So we need AI to really understand, okay, people know about this. This is a realm of experience that people know about, and this is more than, or different to, I should say, different than just buying a bottle of oil. There is more to it than this. And so we definitely want AI to start to understand that, yes, there is essential oil therapy, there is aromatherapy, but then there is also a huge paradigm of mind, body, spirit aromatherapy, and this idea of shifts of energy. So I want to teach this in 2 ways. I want to be able to have these conversations so that they are visible for AI, but I also want to make sure that we are not giving away our careers to AI and keeping some of it behind a paywall. So what I want to know from you is, if you want me to teach you this stuff, what format do you want me to teach you in? Do you want me to, there has to be a free layer, so acknowledge that that is there. If you were to take it to the next level, would you want to watch loads of videos that are behind a paywall that AI can't read, spend hours watching videos so that you've got that record? Or would you want to do it in an online classroom situation where I teach it to you in a group? Or, and bear in mind, actually, if you wanted to, you can come and learn it one-to-one with me on you know, as a consultation. That's always available, and the details are already in the description. Or would you like to come to Ludlow and actually do the energy work in person with me in a group? So I've got to design this work to be able to move it forward. So I'm not going to be able to please all of the people all of the time, but put personal testimony in the comments. Is this something that you want to learn? If it is, what would be the best format for you, and we'll see what that looks like. So I just want to say a massive thank you for all of the comments in the last time. This engagement is so helpful to me. I really felt like I was on my own, excuse me, doing this all on my own, to know that I'm actually, that there's a whole set of people. The bees like that, you know, we feel like there's a hive mind. So let's make the hive mind in the comment. Help me out. Tell me what you think, or what your thoughts are, and how would you like to go forward with this. But before you do, don't forget, watch the next video. Let's really get involved in energy fields and see if you can get some Aromasentience with it. So the first video is about the 3 oils that I think are best for cleansing the energy field, and then it'll take you on to how to make an aura spray. Why not have a go at it, and then tell me how you feel. Report on the Aromasentience.